Hello everyone, this is Eric with the Fairbanks Library, and today I have another programming lesson for you in Python. Last week we did our rock, paper, scissors game, and one of the functions we used in there, one of the methods, was a list. It looked a lot like a variable, but I received a question about it afterwards. So today I've decided to talk about lists in a bit more detail. We're going to go over how to create them, what we can put in them, and then how we can best make use of them using various methods. I'm not going to go over every method you can use with a list. There are quite a few of them, but I will supply that information in addition to this, so I'll just post that somewhere at the end or give you a good link so that you can continue testing all of those different methods on your own. So the first thing is, what do I have on my screen here? Well, this is a very short piece of code. It uses one list and one method. So at the top here we have a list that we have newly defined, and I've called it list. We've included 5 items in this list, the numbers 1, 3, 4, and 2, as well as a string that says dog. Now when we print that list, we get it down here in the console, and you'll see the exact same list, 1, 3, 4, dog, and 2. Then we use a method insert to add an item to the list. We tell it to add that item to the third spot in that list, so that's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. It would go right here before dog. And we add a string that is labeled cat. So then we print that as well, and in the console you see 1, 3, 4, cat, dog, 2. So we only defined the list once, but then we were able to manipulate that list by adding an additional item later, and then printing that again and seeing the result down here. So that's one example of a method that we can use in a list. So let's go ahead and create a new list and then practice with a couple of additional methods. So let's go ahead and clear out this current list, and we will create a new list. Let's just make a grocery list. So this one is going to contain some strings. We're just going to call it groc, no reason to make it any longer than that. Now we need to follow some specific syntax to create a list, so we're going to do equals and then brackets. So open bracket, and now we can start putting items in the list. So we'll say milk, comma, space, eggs, comma, space, bread, and then close these brackets. Now let's go ahead and print this list. So we're going to say print open parentheses, groc, that's the name of our list, close parentheses, and then I can save this and we can run it. And here's our list, milk, eggs, and bread. The first two methods we're going to go over when discussing how to use these lists, I think the most important would be inserting and removing items. So we're going to talk about how to add and take away items from our list. And then after that, we're going to talk about counting and sorting the items in the list. Indexing is also a very useful tool, but once we've gone over these few methods, you'll be able to decipher the rest of them. Now let's add some items to our grocery list. So we're going to do groc.insert, open parentheses. Now we need to choose the location where we want to add the item. Currently we have milk at position 0, eggs at 1, and bread at 2. So let's say we want to add something else at position number 1 here between milk and eggs. Then we have to define a new string, and we'll say apples and close parentheses. To see the result, we're going to need to print it again, so we'll do print groceries, close, and then we can go ahead and run that. Now we have 4 items in our list, milk, apples, eggs, and bread. But what if we want to remove one of these items? Well, it works the same as the way we inserted it, so we can do groceries.remove. Now we're going to need to specify the item we want to remove, so let's take away eggs. And then we're going to go ahead and print this result. Now let's go ahead and remove an item. That's going to work the same way as insert, so we're going to do groceries.remove. This time we don't need to specify the location because we're going to describe the item and it's going to remove that item for us. So we're just going to put eggs and then print it so that we can see that it's worked. Go ahead and run this. Now in our third result here, you'll see that we have milk, apples, and bread, but no eggs. What's great about this is that we can add and remove items throughout our program. So we can do something like ask the user for some input and add that to our list, or remove that item from our list, and then we can do different things with our list in our program while also being able to change it throughout the program. So we can make one list and do something with milk, eggs, and bread, and then we can add things to that list and do something else with this new list, like perhaps these are recipes, and one of them could be for making a cake, and one of them could be for making a pie. And we'll be able to call on those lists and take advantage of that without having to create a new list every single time. We just make these small changes to it throughout the program. Now in order to count the number of items in a list, there are actually two things we're going to need to know. The first one is called count, and it works a lot like remove and insert. So we have groceries.count, and it lets us count the number of elements in a list. So if we want to know how many times milk is in the list or how many times apples is in the list, we can do that. So let's do count eggs, and we're going to want to print this, so let's put this in parentheses and print it, and then run this, and it's going to give us 0. Now we have eggs at the top of the list here, but we removed it at this step. We removed eggs, so now print the number of eggs in the list is going to give us 0. But you could do that to any of these, so milk, for example, we can change eggs. We have not removed milk from the list, so when we run it here, it's going to give us 1. So that counts the number of elements in a list. But we also have length, which gives us the length of the list. So let's go ahead and do that. It's going to be written as len. So we're just going to do print and then get rid of this, len, groc, close parentheses, and run that. 3. There are 3 items in our list. We removed our list there, but it should be milk, apples, and bread. Lastly, we're going to sort our list, and you can probably guess how we're going to do that. It's going to look like this, groc.sort. We won't need to put anything in the parentheses, but we are going to add them. And then we're going to print that list, groc, and run. And now it has alphabetized it for us. It's gone from being milk, apples, bread to apples, bread, milk, A, B, M. That's all I have for you today. Be sure to check out the link I include that's going to give you a lot more information on methods and lists so that you can continue working with those. If we're unable to include it in the description for any reason, it's going to be this link right here. You can just type that into your address bar. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and be sure to keep an eye out for our future videos. Next month we're going to be working with some Microsoft Office tools, but then we'll pick up Python programming later in October. Thank you.